Okay, good evening. Welcome to the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Hatfield Select Board. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And as usual, I'm going to open the meeting by reading our public participation policy. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. So first, we have a few announcements. First, great news, Hatfield has been awarded $15,000. This is a FY25 District Local Technical Assistance Award that will allow Hatfield to continue moving on its comprehensive plan implementation. Anything else you want to add about that?
No, all I'll add is that obviously it was a great effort that was done on the comprehensive plan. We've talked a little bit about some of the efforts that we're looking to put in to make sure that this plan doesn't just sit on the shelf and moves forward in the future, and we'll address some of that later this evening too. This was a great collaboration between the planning board, myself, and our planning assistant putting together this application that will allow us to do three things to implement on this. So first is to have staff assistance that will help this new committee that we've talked about, the Hatfield 2040 committee. The second is help to put together our housing production plan, which we think follows pretty naturally from the comprehensive plan. And the third is to do a deeper dive into some of our zoning and some next steps to reform that zoning and move forward on some of the recommendations of the plan. So we're excited to have that help. And PPPC is always a fantastic resource. We're looking forward to working with them more on this.
Great. Excellent. Thank you very much. I just want to mention the Council on Aging has moved back down into their space. It looks lovely. The new floor is down. Had the chance to attend the Valentine's luncheon, which was really nice. So it looks good. And congratulations to the COA on being back in their space. I'm sure everybody's much happier being down there. We wanted to give a thank you to the DPW. We had the storm. Was that last weekend? Last week?
Yes.
All blur. It was a very tough storm. So we've obviously had a little more snow this winter than we have for the last few. And the storms have been, snow has been sort of light. And this last one with the ice and the freezing rain and the long duration icing and then the bitter cold, it was a really tough cleanup. And I just want to commend them for that. I've had the opportunity to drive through a bunch of other towns, and we really did a pretty good job compared to some other communities. So I just want to thank them for that. It wasn't an easy one. And then I just want to mention, I had heard sort of unofficially that the FedEx is moving out of their building. They're closing their building. That's not anything I heard officially, but I've heard it from a number of sources that are fairly reliable. So obviously that's not good news because, we like having FedEx here and they're taxpayers. But it also got me thinking that building might be something we want to consider for a public safety complex. It's a good location. It's probably a good setup. You've been in the building. Mm-hmm. Probably work. I guess I think what I'd like to do is reach out to, I think it's a holding company, and just see if I can find out what their plans are for the building, at least as a first step, just to ask. So,
I mean, that's the first I've heard of it, but I'm not saying it's not a bad idea. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
And I just found out about it a few days ago.
Yeah, see what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There'd be a whole lot of planning and all kinds of stuff. Asking townspeople and whatnot, but we got to, it's at least worth asking, I think.
Interesting.
If you're okay with that, I'll try to see if I can reach out to somebody. Very informally, of course. Okay. Is anyone here for public forum? Is anyone, I can't see who that is on the,
Is that Judy Shell from?
Judy, hi Judy. Mary Beth, are you here for public forum?
No, she's one of these.
There I come.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you, welcome.
I can throw lozenges, would you like it?
Sure. I haven't coughed all day. I don't know where this came from. Probably too much talking. So the first item, thank you very much, is the approval of our consent agenda. Thank you. Which is the minutes of the February 11th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the February 11th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second,
A motion made in second. Any further discussion?
no,
All those in favor?
aye.
Oh my God. Okay. Topic number one is appointment, a housing authority appointment. But because I am on the housing authority and I've already voted on this, I'm going to recuse myself from the discussion. So I'll turn it over to you two.
Okay, I mean, how's the process on this work, Andrew?
Yep, so the process is, this is a position that's elected. So to fill that position, we asked the town council, and what he described to us was that the process is, there is a joint vote between the housing authority, the remaining members of the housing authority, and the members of the select board. And through that joint vote, you elect somebody for the rest of, until the next town meeting. So whoever is elected will need to run a town meeting. It's an elected position. And that town meeting is, of course, in a couple months. But the housing authority has already held a meeting and cast their votes there. So the chair has cast their vote there. And we have with us tonight the executive director of the housing authority in Northampton, who works with us in administering our housing authority.
So I can just basically say I make a motion to approve Sue Slysz as part of the housing authority, or?
So you would make a motion, yes, you would make a motion to appoint her, because you still need to cast a vote here as well.
Yeah.
And then when that appointment vote is read, we'll also share the roll call from the vote that was held by the housing authority. And we'll have enough votes when sharing those votes together.
Okay, so I'll move to make the motion to appoint Sue Slysz to the housing authority. And Jaworski, aye.
And I think we should second that motion.
Second,
Yep, good.
Gagnon, aye.
All right, so is there
And
any discussion?
then I
So
say aye.
as we're in discussion, I think now's a good time to have the roll call vote presented of the housing authority. If that sounds okay, Executive Director Leiper?
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
Okay, so I'll read the extract from the minutes so that can reflect correctly for the record. The certificate of recording officer and extract from the minutes of the regular meeting of the Hatfield Housing Authority held on February 19th. I have Alex here too, by the way. I, Cara Leiper, the duly elected secretary of the Board of Commissioners of the Hatfield Housing Authority, do hereby certify that the following extract from the minutes of the meeting of the members of the authority is a true and correct extract from the original minutes of the meeting on file in the record insofar as the said original minutes relate to the matters set forth in said extract, that the members present voting at the said meeting were residents of the city of Hatfield on the date of the meeting, and that the notice of the said meeting was filed with the city clerk in accordance with the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 20 as amended. The members of the Hatfield Housing Authority met in regular session at the community room located at 2 School Street in the town of Hatfield on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. The meeting was called to order by the chairperson, and upon roll call, those present and absent were as follows. Present were Chairperson Malinowski, Vice Chairperson Schell, Commissioner Szynal. Absent was Commissioner Smith. The extract of the minutes, page 2, Ms. Leiper explained that the select board meeting was being held on 2/25/25. At that meeting, they would be appointing Ms. Susan Slysz. Did I say that right?
Yes.
To complete the term of Mr. Scott through 5/20/25, and that although the meeting required each member's presence at the select board meeting, it would make it easier to have them vote to accept the appointment by way of roll call vote at that meeting, and allow me to present the extract of the minutes to the select board in their presence on February 25th, 25. The purpose of this would alleviate having to post joint meeting agendas and multiple roll calls and votes and would be less confusing for the public and both committees. Further, that the attendance of all members at the 225 meeting was mandated by law. Upon motion of Vice Person Shell, seconded by Chairperson Malinowski, and then by roll call vote, all in favor, it was voted to accept the Select Board appointment of Susan Slysz on 2/25/25. And then upon motion of Chairperson Malinowski, seconded by Vice Person Shell, and then by roll call vote, all in favor, it was voted to attend the 2/25/25 5:30 meeting of the Select Board. I certify that the above certificate and extract are true and correct. Cara, Leiper, Secretary.
Okay, so we had a motion, we had a section, we had discussion. So is there any further discussion on this?
None.
And all in favor?
Right?
Let's just do a roll call vote just for
Roll call vote.
posterity. Yeah.
Jaworski, aye.
Gagnon, aye.
Szynal abstain.
Okay, motion carries.
There it is.
At this time, I'd like to thank Susan for stepping up to this position. I don't know if you want to say anything while you're here. I thank you for,
Good, thank you, though.
I want everybody to see your face so they know who you are
I know
and,
who I am.
yeah.
I
Okay.
have to do an orientation with you, so I'll get your phone number and we'll get together.
Okay.
All right, perfect. And Select Board, I actually have been asked by the commissioners of the Hatfield Housing Authority to present to you a letter, and I'm not sure when you would like me to do that. So I also have that as well, but it's regarding a different matter. So please let me know when you'd like me to do that.
Okay, I guess you just talked to Andrew and,
Does it have to be at a separate meeting?
No.
Oh,
I think we can do it now. It's essentially in the same topic.
okay.
I mean, we can at least take it, and if we need to have another meeting.
Perhaps we don't deliberate. Yeah.
Okay.
Best thing to do.
Alex, I'm just keeping you on for the presentation of the letter. Our board, and I will, so I'm going, the attachments, I'm gonna just give to you, sir. And that way you can maybe make copies.
Yep.
But I do have a copy of the actual letter for each of you. Thank you. And do you want me to read it into the record or not?
Thank you.
I think it would be appropriate.
Okay,
Is that all right?
all right, did you see it?
It's my first time seeing it, but
Is it okay to read into the record?
I'm treating it as essentially public forum.
Yep.
And as long as we don't deliberate on it, it's fine.
So this letter is to the Hatfield Select Board. Dear members of the Hatfield Select Board, I hope this letter finds you well. As the Executive Director of the Hatfield Housing Authority, this is a joint letter from myself and the chairperson, but it was voted upon by all members of the, all attending members of the Housing Authority Board at the last meeting. We're writing to formally request your intervention regarding the conduct of one of our board members, Mr. Christopher Smith. And after careful deliberation, the Hatfield Board of Commissioners has voted to send this letter to you, requesting that the Select Board take appropriate action in addressing the failure to fill his duties as commissioner. It is with regret that I bring to your attention the following concerns. 1, failure to carry out duties as commissioner. Mr. Smith has not been fulfilling his responsibilities as a board member. He has failed to attend many board meetings without providing prior notice or valid explanation for his absence. Despite multiple attempts to contact him, there has been no response to our correspondence, which has hindered the functionality of the board and effective operation of the Housing Authority. Breach of fiduciary duty. As a board member, Mr. Smith has a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of the Housing Authority and its residents. His failure to engage in board activities and his lack of communication indicate a disregard for his responsibility, compromising the integrity of the decision-making process. Violation of bylaws and policies. Mr. Smith's actions also appear to be in violation of the Housing Authority's bylaws and policies, specifically those related to active participation in meetings, responsiveness, and engagement in proper execution of his role. Qualification lapse. According to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC, all commissioners are required biannually to complete mandatory state training. Mr. Smith has failed to meet this requirement within the time allotted, further questioning his ability to effectively serve on the board. I've attached a copy of the required training to the package I gave to you all. Given the above points, we respectfully request that the Hatfield Select Board take appropriate action, which may include censure, disciplinary measures, or removal from the board in accordance with the applicable procedures outlined in state and local regulations. The Hatfield Housing Authority and its residents deserve a fully functioning board, and Mr. Smith's actions have compromised our ability to operate effectively. We trust that the Select Board will consider this matter with the attention it requires and appreciate your prompt attention to the issue. Should you require any information or documentation regarding the situation, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Cara, Leiper, Executive Director, Alex Malinowski, Chairperson of the Board. And this was voted by all members, Diana Szynal, Alex Malinowski, Judy Schell. Affirmative to send the letter.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
bringing this forward. If Andrew, if we can take this letter and check with our legal counsel so we know exactly the steps that we're allowed to do by law, et cetera, you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Thank you so much thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Cara. Next, we have the appointment of John Pease to the Hatfield Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee, which I think is a great call because he worked on the comprehensive plan and certainly can be a good representative of agriculture on there. So
I'll make a motion to appoint John Pease to the Hatfield Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee.
Second.
May I just make one comment?
Yes.
You might want to just specify that he's filling one of the at-large positions that's focusing on
Right.
agriculture, open space, or historic preservation. We had two at-large.
you'd add that to your
for
motion.
Yeah, we
those
had
three
the
subjects.
motion, we had the second,
No, but he wanted us to note in the motion that it's the at-large position focusing on
Okay, yeah.
agriculture.
so,
Okay, so a motion made and second. Any further discussion?
no, I think John's a great selection. He's been very active in town over the years. He's a great guy, so it should work out very well.
I agree. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is our audit report. Excuse me, from Roselli Clark and Associates. We're joined online by those folks. Hello.
I believe Tony Roselli is jumping on just now, so he will
Okay.
be on in just a moment. So we can either vamp or actually have to vamp.
Vamp.
So I'll just say that we did receive the final audit within the last week. We invited Mr. Roselli to be here with us tonight, and he's graciously offered to be here and present the high-level takeaways from the audit. The audit report is in your packet, both the financial side and the governance letter. We have our accountants on the line as well, which is great. We have Elizabeth and Mary Beth from CBiz. They'll be on the agenda later tonight to talk about their budget. We might even consider taking that out of order since it's a very important, item for them. And I know we had it on the joint meeting with finance, but I don't think they need to be here
Okay.
for that.
So we're still waiting for Tony. So do you want to talk about the budget?
Elizabeth and Mary Beth, would you be open to going out of order and speaking about your budget briefly?
We could do that, yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. Elizabeth Braccio with CBiz, formerly known as Markham, formerly known as Melanson. We're not making any changes to our budget for fiscal year 26. We level funded our assessment, knowing the struggles the towns have been all facing with financials and impending other costs. I know that health insurance went up rather high, so we're keeping everything status quo. I think the Vadar expense went up slightly. I don't have that in front of me at the moment. But that's pretty much the crux of our budget. We don't really spend any on supplies or anything like that. So
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you need any other information.
Thank you.
Tony's here.
Do you have any questions on the budget?
No.
Okay. Tony, welcome.
Hi, how's everyone?
We're doing great. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Sorry, I'm a little delayed. I had a refrigerator repairman come, and they give you a range of time, and they don't tell you what time. They give you a range, and he came right at the end of the range. He just left, so said let me jump on to that meeting.
Well, we'll turn it over to you for the, sort of presentation of the audit.
Okay, super. I don't think I've been on the Hatfield Zoom in a couple of years, probably 2 or 3 years. So so glad to be back. I've been going back and forth with your team. We got the reports out, thankfully. Everything got finalized last month. For those who don't know me, I'm Tony Roselli. I'm the managing partner with Roselli Clark and Associates, and we've been doing the audit for the town of Hatfield for probably about 10 years. So we've gone through all the ups and downs, and hopefully we're going through a nice uptrend now. We had a few findings last year that seem to finally have gotten fixed and taken care of this year. So it looks like you're going in the right direction. So the first report, do you have the reports in front of you, everyone?
Yes.
So the first report I'd like to quickly go through is the report that's, it's a governance report. It doesn't have a cover, it's just on letterhead. It's a little 3-page report. And so this is a new report where we're required to discuss if we have material weaknesses or any disagreements with management. So I can go through that really quick. First page, there were no scope limitations, which means that we were able to access all the documents that we asked for. There was nothing that we were unable to find or anything that was withheld from us. There were no gap departures, and gap departures means that you're following proper accounting procedures. So there were no gap departures, which you've had in the past. There were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. Last year, unfortunately, we did have that because of the cash wasn't reconciling, which this year it was reconciled. Just going down a little bit, there were no difficulties encountered during the audit. We go down to page 2. I'm just picking out the biggest highlights. There were no major misstatements. So again, this is a pretty good report. It kind of summarizes everything. And there were no disagreements with management, which is also important. If you go to the final page of that 3-pager, we've got 3 bullet points that we can talk about, where we have other types of findings. There were some findings, but we did not believe there were material weaknesses or significant deficiencies because the town showed improvements. So we did record some findings, but like I said, they didn't rise to that level of severity like they had in the prior year. So there were some debt payments that were not made during the year, or not recorded. They were made, but they weren't recorded, $37,000. Those have since been corrected, I believe, right, Elizabeth? So as of now, those are in the records. They're all fixed. Secondly, the general ledger includes a water and a sewer fund. So you got 2 funds. But when you submit things to the Department of Revenue, it's submitted at the Department of Revenue allows you to submit it as one fund. And Elizabeth, you have this as a water and a sewer fund, or both?
So my understanding is the town voted several years ago to combine them, but they remain separate on the general ledger.
That's
so
what
they
it is, yeah,
continue to get reported separately For fiscal year 25, they're combined under one.
They're combined at this point. That's what it is. Thanks for refreshing me on that. So years ago, the town voted to combine the water and sewer fund, which you were allowed to do under the Municipal Modernization Act. And the town chose to do that, but continued to keep them separate. So my understanding, Elizabeth, from what you just said, is that those are, at this point, are combined moving forward. Okay. And then finally, in terms of just reconciling things, the withholding balances, they've kind of been off for a number of years. We've always had this as a variance. They've gotten better. Is this something, can you give us an update on that, Elizabeth? They still weren't completely reconciled.
That's correct. We are working on that for this year to get that all cleaned up.
So still working on it?
Mm-hmm. I think Mary's got most of them reconciled and balanced. There's just a couple, the usual suspect, health insurance. And sometimes a lot of that's got to do with timing. So we're working on that. We found some things from prior years that we were fixing in this year.
Okay. So what happened the year before is there was a lot of turnover. There was some turnover with between Elizabeth Yu and the gentleman that
Then
Richard, right? So there was movement around there. There was a lot of movement in the treasurer's office. So it made 23 very difficult. So if we looked at the 23 report, you'd see a lot more findings, material weaknesses and things like that. So it has taken the year to settle out. We're pretty happy that it's going in the right direction. It was nice to see that. We came in 23, we started the audit, we came back, did some more, did a little bit more. It seemed to drag out. This year, we kind of did the whole thing and almost got it all done in one shot, which was really nice. So, so things are definitely moving in the right direction. Any questions on that report or those handful of items?
No, I mean, I think it's a great report, especially given the transition we did have. So everybody's done a good job. Thank you.
And just quickly, we can look at in the large report, which is the financial statements, we can highlight a couple of things.
It has to
Oh,
be
that's
you.
right, okay. All right,
Sorry,
that's all right.
sorry.
That's okay. I don't know if you have the larger report, which is the financial statements.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And I just want to highlight a couple of things, just from a financial standpoint. So the town, if you go to page 13, and on page 13 is the balance sheet. So this basically tells you how solvent the town is, kind of where things stand. If you go down, if you look at the columns, you'll see the general fund is the main column, which is the very first column. And way down at the bottom, you'll see something called unassigned fund balance. Almost 1.9 million. Everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
So that includes basically your free cash, your stabilization funds, your undesignated, your money that's not restricted for anything. It's kind of like the free money the town has, or unrestricted, I should say. And if we look at page 15, and you look at your expenditures in the general fund, it's about 13.6 million. And the way I look at this and the way the bond people look at this is when they look at that ratio, the 1,885,000, and divide that by the 13 million in expenses, that comes out to 1,885 divided by 13619. Comes out to about 14%. So you're in very close to a tier 1 range in terms of where your solvency stands. The Standard & Poor's ranks tier 1 communities at 15%. So you're just below that tier 1 and you're very strong tier 2. So that's a really good performance measure for the town from a financial standpoint. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that you've done a good job saving your pennies. It's reflected in your financial statements. Your ratio came out to 13.8%, just below the highest level. And so from that perspective, the town is on the right track also. We're not seeing those when you see big brackets at the bottom, those are when whenever you're looking at reports and you don't have someone to guide you through it, when you see brackets, you want to find out what that means. Every time you see brackets, you're like, hey, Tony, what does that mean? And, or somebody explain to me what the brackets are. In that column, we don't see brackets, so we're in really, really good shape. Also in the school choice fund you have, which is the third column, you have over $1 million in the school choice fund, which is used to help out the school side. So it's almost like a stabilization fund for the schools. That's an extra reserve. And then you'll see in that second column, you'll see something called the Community Preservation Fund. There's over $2.8 million in that fund as at the end of the year. So that's again, a very strong number. And that's going to help you with some of the qualifying projects under CPA, some of the things that are eligible. So from a financial standpoint, and I wanted to point this out, the town looks like you're in a really nice place. So just to kind of summarize things, we've got a management letter that looks like the control side is improving. And we've got a financial report that shows the town is in a very good financial situation. So from my perspective, as an auditor, this is what I want to see. This is where you guys should be. This is what I want to see. And this is the momentum that you guys should try to maintain. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. Thank
I
you.
try to explain things in English because a lot of these reports are not in English, and I try to pull out the main parts. So hopefully everyone kind of understands that, and the town's doing a really nice job, in my opinion.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate your assistance and Elizabeth, and certainly our treasurer's department on keeping everything together, and administrator as well. So.
And I remember the first time you came on, you were sort of like yelling at us. and we deserved it. We deserved it. So finally, we've gotten
I remember
there.
you. I was actually there in person yelling at you. I remember. And Marlene did a wonderful job. You know, she was a great asset for the town. Hopefully she's in a really good place now. And it seems like you have a capable replacement. We've gone back and forth a few times. So yeah, I think the town is in a good place, and we don't have that craziness of 7 or 8 years ago that was going on.
Great. Well, we appreciate it.
Any other questions, concerns?
Nope. Our treasurer just walked in the door. We're just talking to Tony. Good report. Great report. Nope. I'm good. I don't have anything. Greg?
That's good news.
No, I want to thank everybody involved on making this a great report. So I know it takes a bunch of people working together, and I know the finance committee's been there, and I know our treasurer's office been there, and the new accountant we've had. I mean, you've been there to help us. So there's been a lot of work on this, and Marlene was there. So it's been a lot of people working to get us there. So I want to say thank you to all those people. It's been a team effort.
It didn't happen overnight.
It really has. And, you know, I'm glad, you know, happy to be your auditor. I get, when my staff comes out and reports back. Some years it hasn't been great. This year was really nice to hear what was going on.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Have a great rest of your meeting,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we will move along here to topic 3, which is the potential donation of land to the town. And this is Main Street, south of Depot Road.
Yes, and this was discussed at the last meeting. I just wanted to give you an update on where we stand on that, and to get a sense from this board about if it's still something we're interested in moving forward with. So this was a parcel that we shared the map of it last time. It's not a buildable lot. This belonged to a person who passed away in May. His wife was interested in donating that land to the town. We also introduced this topic at the Conservation Commission, and Conservation is interested potentially in moving forward. This is a piece of land that's very much in the wetlands and would be helpful for them in their conservation measures. And this is pretty close to a small stream that if it were to flood, it could be a useful thing to have in conservation land. As I said, it's around $250 a year in taxes that we'd be giving up. We think we can take that hit in our budget if we need to. The bigger question, and we talked to town council about this, is what sorts of risks are that you might take on in doing this? So there's two that he flagged in the beginning. The first would be you'd want to make sure you have a title examination done to make sure the person who claims to own it really does own
There's
it.
no liens.
That there's no liens. Exactly. So this is a pretty wise thing to do. If the person is really interested in dispossessing of the land, and we're not super keen on taking it, we can go kind of either way with it. Then you might look to see if the donor would consider paying for it. In this case, we could also see if conservation wanted to pay for it through their funds. So the other thing that we'd have to potentially pay for to mitigate some risks is to do an environmental report. These come in all shapes and sizes, but if we did just a phase 1, it's kind of a paper search to make sure there wasn't ever anything on this land that would be of concern, then we're probably in the clear. It's hard to imagine anything was ever on this site. Don't think it was a super fund or a tannery or anything else, but
No.
you can do the paper search, and if it yields anything, then you can take it to the next stage, or maybe we say, not for us. So some expenses along the way. If you're still not scared off by this, then I think the next step would be to discuss with the Conservation Commission and the current landowner what that balance of costs might be. I will plan to proceed with the assumption that we want to spend as little as we need to from the town general fund side, since this isn't necessarily land that we need to take on, but probably would be helpful for conservation.
I'm in favor of all that.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I mean, looking at the prior uses, I mean, we all know that land hasn't been anything for,
It floods every year.
yeah, it does flood every year. But, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll proceed like that.
Yes, thank you.
Sounds great.
So then topic 4 is a location agreement for short film production in Hatfield. Is this just a,
So I wanted to bring this to you just to see what's here in the beginning. I had a filmmaker in New York reach out to us with the interest of filming a short film here in the area. It's co-authored. The script is co-authored by Rich McCarthy, who's an Amherst resident and a columnist for the Daily Hampshire Gazette. I read the script. It's actually very nice. It's kind of pitched as a love letter to Western Massachusetts. It's a nice looking small production short film. And we talked about where they'd like to film. There are 2 locations that are in public property. One of them is more complicated than the other. The first would be they'd like to just film a short scene in which a character is driving down the road on Main Street. We wouldn't notice that there's filming taking place. They might have an SUV in front of the car to film behind it, and then they have an interior shot too. You wouldn't notice that it's there, but they'd be filming some small vignettes and some the sign as you cross into Hatfield on Main Street, or several other things. That doesn't seem like much of an issue. They also want to film a long take on the dike, and I'm asking for more information on that because depending on where they are, they might actually be on private property. We have a right-of-way in that area, so town council has said we can give them permission, to film to the extent that the town has permission to give, essentially. But I'm willing to work with them to see if they need help getting permission from whoever the private property is belongs to as well. So if this is something we're interested in doing and allowing, then I'd work with town council just to prepare this short agreement. They would have insurance. They're really not asking for too much from the town, but they did say they'd like to make a small donation to the town. Don't get too excited. It's a very small donation, but I thought it was nice, about $200. And it looks like just a nice production, a good thing to be a part of. Obviously, if there's any complications with the dike shot, then we can figure that out. But as long as this board is comfortable with me proceeding with this, I'll work with town council to put this together. I don't think we notice too much is going on from the shoot. And if they do film on the dike, what they would do is just have production assistants on either side and just ask folks to hold on for a second before continuing to walk along because they want it to look like they're in a desolate area. Not desolate, in a quieter area. So they don't want folks interrupting them, but it wouldn't be a very long thing.
will we get to see the finished product?
I feel like we should host a screening.
I know,
It might be fun.
red carpet.
I would do that.
Yeah.
I'd ask them if they do
It's
a
so
premiere
fun.
here.
That would
That'd
be
be
really
fun.
nice.
I think
How
it's neat.
cool. I think it
it's
is
neat,
too. I mean,
yeah.
there's been quite a lot filmed in the area, even in the last few years.
Mhm.
Deerfield Academy had a big thing, Whately, Shelburne Falls. So people do look to this area. I can't remember a time it ever happened in Hatfield.
Yeah.
So this is nice. I
Sugarloaf
think that
was a
we'd be a
big
great
movie.
setting for a movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Sugarloaf, that was a scene for 30 seconds in a big movie. I forgot which one that is.
Oh, really?
They built
Yeah.
something on top of Mount Sugarloaf.
That's so cool.
It was a Mel
It was
Gibson
like a
movie,
30-second
It
shot.
was?
Yeah,
That's cool.
something darkness.
Oh,
Nice.
I don't remember that one.
Mhm.
I know Deerfield Academy's been the site of a couple of movies.
The holdovers recently.
The
right? Yeah, that was
Holdovers,
cool.
Oh, yeah.
but
With the Deerfield
years
Academy.
ago, I think Death Be Not Proud or something was filmed there too. Remember that movie?
When I was a
Um,
kid, it was Southampton was a
Oh, yeah, Southampton. Who's Afraid of
Red
Virginia Woolf?
Basket. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Mhm.
So this would be, a small
Northampton
production.
Had the
Although
Nicole Kidman
they'll
movie. Sorry.
try to get like a big actor in it, so we'll see.
Really?
Well, we'll try. We'll see what they can do. Could be a name. I don't know.
Whatever.
Maybe like a name way down.
Yeah.
But it could be a name. We'll see.
How
The
fun.
script is good, and it should be a fun thing to be a part of. So I'll keep you posted on that. But
Well,
I
it's a
don't think it
positive,
requires much
putting
for us.
putting this area in a positive light.
This is
So
good
that's
news. Yeah,
It's gonna look
I like
nice.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna look nice.
very cool. Okay, topic 5, authorization for signing a grant contract with Mass Historic Commission.
This is very simple. This part of the application is simple. So this is for the Farm Museum roof application that
Okay.
comes in through Community Preservation Committee. They made the request that they'd like to see, the town administration pursuing state funds as well if they're going to be giving local funds to it. So they've requested that the town apply for this Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund. It is a long application, and I'm trying to decide if it's actually worth it for the extra funds because it would require hiring an additional architect or engineer from the beginning, which might increase the cost in a way that's not worth it. But I'm
Mhm.
going back and forth with CPC on that. I think we're having a good conversation. I wanted to get this completed before the deadline, just so that we can have it done. You don't need to sign anything tonight, but you would need to make 2 motions that we've written out for you that would just officially say that the board says that the chair of this board is authorized to sign this agreement should we be awarded the grant. And that form that is in your packet will be signed by the town clerk. We'll just take that vote tonight. It'll be in the minutes that the vote took place. The clerk will sign the form, and I include that as a part of the application.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so Greg, want the first one?
Sure. I'll make a motion to authorize Select Board Chair Szynal to enter into a contract with Mass Historic Commission in the event of receiving grant funding.
A second.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to authorize Select Board Chair Szynal to sign a preservation restriction on the Billings Way Tobacco Barn with the Mass Historic Commission.
A second.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, easy enough. Thank you, Andrew, for managing those things. So next is the topic 6, DPW Director position and Superintendent job descriptions.
I'd like to
which-
bring up something on this topic. I mean, as I've been investigating, from the last meeting, we sort of got the impression that maybe we don't need a DPW director, but we do like to have some kind of way of understanding what everybody's doing. So, and somebody to answer to. So I was going to bring up the idea for discussion at possibly our next meeting of possibly what if we were to change the position of town administrator to town manager? Because I know in the past there's been discussion on that. I don't know. I would like to see some pros and cons, like for our next meeting to see if it makes sense. Before I brought this up, I did have discussion with Andrew. I did ask him if he felt town administrator becoming a town manager was a lot more responsibility. In some ways, he said, I'll let him speak to that. But there are some pros and there are some cons to it. Basically what I see so far is it does take some of the responsibility away from the board. If you have a town manager, the board becomes more of a CEO operating the town manager, but the town manager has day-to-day operation over the operations of the town and people that answer to the town manager. Whereas the board now may not do some of the functions they normally did in the past of some of the hiring, where the town manager could do that. Or I don't know if the town administrator has the ability to take people like the superintendent's report to him, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to have a discussion because it's been mentioned over the years in town. And now I think this is an opportunity to have that discussion. And I just, as you know, we just want to make sure we get this right and do the right thing. So I just want to bring this up for discussion at this time, and possibly next meeting have some kind of pros and cons on whether it makes sense or not make sense, or if it's a good or it's bad, or.
So are you suggesting that in that role, the town manager would also absorb some of what the DPW director duties
Right, the
were?
town manager would actually be the go-to person. They would actually, the people would report to the town manager. And now, I think Andrew's done some investigation too. I'll let him speak in this regard to how this would work, because there's a whole process. It's not like we wave the magic wand and you have a town manager. There might be a process that you go through. It might even take a year. But I mean, I'll let Andrew have some input on this discussion. We were doing some talking about it.
Yeah, and I will say, that this does open some larger questions, but it could be worth having that conversation for sure. I did have an inquiry in with town council just to give us a little bit of an overview of the process. Essentially, under Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 23A, the select board can appoint a town administrator if a bylaw or town meeting vote calls for it, which has been done here. That person can be removed at the discretion of the board and they serve 1 or 3 years as the town meeting chooses and carries out the duties given to him by the board. So the town manager form of government can only be entered into through a charter commission or through a special act of the legislature. It can't just be done by a bylaw or a town meeting vote. There's also no explicit statute kind of saying that a town manager does have more responsibilities than a town administrator. There are some forms of government in which a town administrator does have more responsibility and power than a manager. It really does depend on the language that's used in your bylaws, special acts, or charter. So I think we can talk about the process for sure, but it also makes sense to think about what responsibilities you're interested in, because you might not necessarily even need to have a town manager. This might not need to be done by special act. It could help have it by special act or by charter commission. But just looking at what the endpoint you want to get to might be enough. I would say, because we have the special legislation that moved the Public Works Department into the care of the Select Board, that would probably give us, and I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say this for sure, but it would probably give you enough ground to start delegating the authorities of that office, of the Department of Public Works, as you see fit, probably including to giving some of that directly to a town administrator if you wanted to, because it is under the auspices of the Select Board at this time. So I'll start with that. I think thinking about functions, job description, responsibilities, that leading the way more so than title is useful for now, and then we might need to think about title. But town manager, there's lots of pros and cons to it. It could certainly work here. You might not even need to do it to get to the things that you're looking for.
And I think I left the last meeting with, I think the concern was, the word I was looking for is accountability. Okay, that's the word I've been looking for. And this may or may not be one way to provide us accountability. And it's a discussion, doesn't mean we're going to do it or not going to do it, or if we want to put more responsibility on the town administrator, or the town administrator becomes in a different role, or how we want to work that to help us with accountability. It doesn't mean he's going to operate the roads. He's just going to have a person provide some accountability for what they're doing. I mean, just thinking out of the box, that's all.
I think
Right.
that's part of it. I mean, first of all, I just want to say, I think, again, I want to say that the superintendents are doing a good job, in these circumstances. So for me, part of it is what you're talking about, that sort of day-to-day management, who answers to who and accountability. But for me, there's a bigger part of the DPW director job, which was sort of that strategic planning for our DPW and the projects. And, we talked about it a little bit at capital planning last night. I mean, we have road projects and water and sewer projects projected out a number of years, and that takes, some oversight and some planning and some, going after grants and being strategic about what happens when. And so it's that strategic piece of the actual DPW projects that I want to make sure we're covering our bases. Even, the move to Elm Court, and, all of these things are, they require a lot of oversight, big picture thinking.
But I mean, the projects we've had so far over the years have been brought in outside consultants or outside contractors to guide us in that respect. I mean, I can see what you're saying on some of these projects, but there's been a couple that we've done in-house that the crews have felt comfortable doing, whereas the bigger ones we brought in Pickett, or we brought in, when we did the culvert, we had the experts there to give us their opinion on what was available. I mean, 5 and 10, it was the engineering guy coming in, sort of providing expertise. So I guess if I thought there was going to be a lot of big projects, then I would say yeah, but I'm not sure if we have those big projects.
I
could
guess
be
I feel
totally
like
wrong.
we do. We bring in, engineering firms and and all of that, but there's a whole lot that happens before you even get to that point to decide, sort of that strategy and priorities and capital planning and all of that. So and it's entirely possible we can do that with all the folks here, between our superintendents, who are, such experts in their, individual departments, and then adding you, maybe we've got it covered. I just want to make sure it's part of the conversation.
Mhm.
That's all.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's certainly something that was flagged from the early stages when reading through the DPW director job description is, they're supposed to be there, giving insight on particular projects, on engineering components of projects, but also thinking about, the long term and the strategic elements of how do you run the department and set the town up for success in the future. So
Yeah.
we're fortunate that we have a lot of good plans and things to draw on. The comprehensive plan definitely helps. So the engineering plans have been put together in the past for water, sewer, stormwater, other assets. Those things all certainly help. Tying that together, there's a question of who does that. And it could be a director, it could be the superintendents, it could be a town administrator, it could be a select board, it could be everybody.
Right. I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, we are just finishing a major project. I don't think that we are in a position to think about the next phase of that for a little
Right.
while. So you're right. We are maybe in a little bit of a lull, but we won't be forever. And we have to be strategic about, those plans. So
I mean, there's always outsourcing experts to provide that advice or
which we really
guidance.
do. I
And
mean,
which we
right,
normally
we
do when it's a
Most
project, yeah.
municipalities
Yeah.
kind of have to.
Yeah, you do. But,
Even if you have a city
like
engineer
even
or whatever else.
to your point, even the culvert. I mean, when we were at that meeting, and we had everybody assembled there on the side of Main Street, there's a whole culvert system that
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of culvert problems. And, those are the things I want to make sure that we have the day-to-day covered. That's great, but it's that other stuff. So.
Okay, so possibly, do Do you entertain, my colleagues entertain the idea of just having some pros and cons for next meeting on discussing this to see if it even makes sense or doesn't make sense? Because at least we've covered all the boxes and try to come up with the best solution that's available for the town, I guess.
I mean, you know, like sort of listing out all of the DPW director responsibilities and then really just mapping out who could take them on will lead us to realize if there's gaps.
Yeah.
It's kind of the simplest way to do it.
Correct.
I mean, are we able, is it feasible to give, you know, to delegate out some of those duties to Garrett and Tony and Kenny or to you? Is that feasible? And then what are the gaps? It's that simple. And if there's no gaps, then there's no gaps.
Well, the only gap right now is the facilities in the school one step back.
Yeah, but we still have our facilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Would you, I had put together that initial kind of overview of that. Would you like me to get a little more detailed and try to come up with what it looks like now? I mean, these are your decisions.
yeah, I
so-
mean, I think, or even just, you know, sort of, you know, maybe even do some meetings, you know, with our superintendents for them to say, you know, I'm comfortable doing this, but I'm not, you know, there may be areas that
Yeah, so we're not missing anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they might already be doing those jobs.
I think
they
in some
certainly are,
cases
yeah.
they were and they are, yeah.
Okay. And then we still have that exercise that we talked about, reviewing the superintendent job descriptions. Now that we've found more
Yes.
recent.
Yes, I have
versions of
not had
those,
time to do
Chelsea,
that,
it's
but
fine.
they're,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are printed for you when you need them. But I think that's another thing that's kind of part of that exercise. So I'm happy to lead, not lead on that, however you want. Maybe chair, we can talk about how to
Mhm.
proceed on next steps with that.
Yeah.
We can do that offline.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's busy budget time, but, you know, we really need to, it's really part of the budget discussion because, you know, there really could be a different allocation of salaries based on a different allocation of duties.
And if we go away from DPW director, then there'll have to be some changes in the writing of the existing contracts as they are. So
Right.
there's going to have to be some changes in the wording possibly. So we got to know
Right.
what we're going to do before we
Exactly.
change those.
Hi, Sean. We just have, can we just wrap up your administrator report quickly? Is that
Want to do
quickly?
that after?
No, I'd like to just,
I
could we
can
do it quick?
really quickly?
Yeah, let's do it really quickly.
Great. I'll just load up my notes, which closed for some reason. Okay. Projects, this is super quick. This is just wastewater treatment plant at the moment. As we talked last time about how the other projects were closed, which is great. And I don't have an update on 5 and 10, but we will at our March meeting. We'll have Mike Ohl and Ryan Gilher in here to talk about the 5 and 10 project. So a month from now, we'll get a full report. I do have, I'll share some updates from them at the next meeting as well. Wastewater treatment plant, just it's more on the financial side, but we're locking up the interim financing for that, which eventually converts to USDA loans and grants. We have not heard anything yet from anything with
okay.
USDA.
Are we freaking out or no? Okay.
We're all going to, it's,
Cautiously optimistic.
we'll see
yes.
what happens. I hope nothing happens to
Yeah.
that USDA.
How could they? Like
They-
the project is underway, right?
They already
But-
shut off all these other,
Yeah, we have
People.
agreements with them, but they also haven't put the money down yet. But we have an agreement.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
It would really be screwed up
everything
if
got
that was
frozen.
taken away now.
Right.
So, that's where we're at. So I'll speed through quickly on the other items that I had listed on here. So Diamondback, we talked last time about making sure that we ended that relationship with the storage facility we were using. That's on track to end at the end of March. We paid our last invoice for that. All materials will be transferred here. There's one pallet of heavy materials that would just be too heavy for the space upstairs, and we've got a lead on a very cheap and easy storage facility for that. So the plan is to move there, and I'll keep you updated on where that goes. But we'll be done with Diamondback April 1. And just on that same note, very quickly, it might be a good idea to revisit our MOU with the Historical Society. We have one that's written, and it was written for a 1-year term back in back in 2022. So we might want to revisit that and see if there's any changes we want to make based on some of the conversations that were had at the last meeting. I also got an answer about the 30B procurement, removal of materials, that historic materials that they decide to dispose of. Things under $10,000, it would just be subject to the town's written procedures that we have on disposing of materials. If it's above that, then we'd make sure that it goes to a auction process, a sealed bids process. NOI fees, this will need to go to town meeting. We had that vote last time, moving it. We did check in with town council, recommends that we put this through to town meeting. So we will make sure that that's on the warrant for town meeting. GPS, Ed and I had a great demo yesterday with one company. We've got another tomorrow and then another next Monday. Please feel free to join anything you can. We're getting a good sense of how this GPS technology works and if it makes sense in any of our vehicles. So Ed and I will check in on that after the demos, and we'll have a full report at your next meeting. Parking improvements, I checked in with police chief, and we'll continue working on some mock-ups of that to bring to you. No need to rush on that at the moment, but we'll have some updates on what we might want to do there. So that's all I got.
Excellent. That was quick. Thank you.
Right back
Could've been
in.
faster.
You guys settled?
Yeah, are you taking a break, Ed?
Yeah,
Okay.
they got to settle.
Okay, come on over. I guess we're taking a quick break. Okay, great. Welcome back after just a brief break. As you can see, we've been joined by our Finance Committee, and we've got a few budgets to take up tonight, right?
Yes.
I put my agenda away. That wasn't smart. Okay, so first up, we are joined tonight by Tammy Wendelowski, our town treasurer. Welcome, Tammy. Thanks for being here. So I guess we'll go through yours first. Is that okay with the Finance Committee?
Yep, sure.
Take it away, Tammy. Tell us which one you want to start with.
This is my first time doing this, so we can start with whatever you want.
All right, well, I am open to group insurance. Let's start with the big one.
Let's hit the highlights.
Okay, we're done now.
Better glasses.
So, our health insurance?
Mhm.
So health insurance went to a vote. And the trust had voted 18% increase for HMOs and a 20% increase on PPOs. And that'll be starting July 1st, coming this year.
That is significant.
Yep, they said the reason for the drive is a certain drug that is driving that,
Mhm.
of which they don't really have control over right now because there's no generic. Unfortunately, it's mostly being used for weight loss instead of what it should be using
Mhm.
as for diabetic. So there's not much that we can do for it. So
I've had meetings about this at work. It's potentially catastrophic, seriously, to the health insurance system. We don't have time to go into all of it tonight, but so okay, so that's a pretty significant increase to that line. Then we have no control over it.
we do not.
What does that mean for increases to our employees? Because that's our portion of it, right?
Mhm.
What?
We just have 20 minutes.
Eight,
When
right,
we
eight.
split the,
We split it. So theirs is going up 18%,
unless they have the PPO.
and which is
the-
And it's
20%.
20.
Although, yeah, so they'll pay 45% of the. It should just be noted, though, that if you look at it over the last 5 years, you've had, what, 2 years with a 0% increase and 1 year with a negative 2% decrease. So even at 20% over 6 years, your average increase is still probably under 5%. Or, so compared to what most people are doing, I don't think anybody is doing any better than that, really.
Probably all agree that if we had 5% increases every year versus the big hit,
Right.
that's the difference, you're getting the big hit.
Right, I
all
mean,
at once.
that makes sense, right?
Right.
It's a logical explanation. It's still tough on our employees.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So Tammy has broken down what costs would look like increases for employees, right? Tammy, you have that with you?
Yes,
We can provide
For the
those to the
different-
board
yes.
later if that's helpful.
I do.
Uh,
With the three
Yeah,
different
Tammy
increases.
ran 3 different scenarios as well, showing what would happen in the case of COLAs, which is helpful to show what that does to the town budget, and then also if we decided to take on higher amounts of the insurance coverage, if we say move to 60% instead of the 55.
So we're trying to do that like every couple years, try to incrementally, so that we could ultimately be more competitive, but taking small bites at it. And it might be, if we can swing it at all, it might be a good year to try to do that because of the expense that would help offset.
I mean, and the group insurance trust did say they're not trying to make money on this increase. This is just gonna be them level, so they're not losing.
So Tammy can provide those spreadsheets to us afterwards. It's worth looking at when we go into deliberations, but just to see what the sample numbers are. Right.
Yeah, I have the COLA ones here if they want them.
Great.
You know, a few years ago, actually, probably before COVID, I did bring somebody from the GIC in to meet, to see about if it would be more competitive for us. At the time, it wasn't. But, I mean, maybe we're getting to a point where that eclipse is happening and it would be more competitive. What do you think about that, Sean?
I mean, I have no idea currently. Historically, it has not been more competitive.
It hasn't been, but this is a big
It has
jump.
built-in disadvantages.
Mhm.
But number one is it offers many more plans
Right,
that people could select from.
right.
So theoretically, you could get a plan that was cheaper, maybe.
Right.
I mean, I looked at the rates. They're not all that different, but I mean, if you just, it's impossible to say because I can only look at the rates that a state employee would pay, which aren't necessarily the exact same rates that we would get, but they're not, those are not wildly different.
I think the assumption would be too, is if there's a certain thing driving the cost for the Hampshire County Trust, wouldn't that same thing be driving costs for the GIC as well? So
Potentially, but I mean,
potentially.
doesn't hurt to have a conversation. So, I mean, if you want, I can try to, do you know Mike Berry?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Could reach out to Mike. He's come out before and from the GIC and talked to us. Let me know if you want me to do that.
I think it's good to explore all options.
Wouldn't it take time? Wouldn't it take a couple of years to make a change like that?
Probably, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. At least ask. I mean, literally last time he came out and said, you know what, I can't do any better for you. So he was, pretty honest about it. Maybe that would be the conversation, but
Right.
I mean, if we're going to see increases like this, I don't think the use of that drug is not going down next year.
No, and it'll be another drug
Right.
down the road, so it's not. I mean, bottom line to the budget, that's $200,000 right off the top before we even start with anything else.
Well, not quite.
Yeah, with all insurances.
You're counting retirement contribution
Retirement.
too? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
retirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we haven't talked about yet, but that's the increase.
Okay.
It's about 50.
So this is 150,
So-
that's 50.
So I mean, this line
There you go.
is what it is. We can't do anything about it. We could do maybe some long-term things, but nothing tonight. Okay.
Unfortunately.
Tammy, which line do you want? Do you want to do retirement next, since that makes sense?
I don't even know where retirement is.
Is it,
Up
what
about
is retirement
50,000.
under?
County retirement.
County retirement.
Oh, it's under county?
It's under C, okay. Yes, it is.
That would have
The 12% increase? No.
I don't see a county retirement
So the top of the binder under cultural council.
under cultural council.
The right one?
about $50,000.
Oh, I see it.
You get the same thing.
That's
Yeah.
an increase.
We had 12.
Okay, so that's where the
12% in
200,000
the
comes
current
from.
year, and then 3% this year.
Yes. That's what it looks like to me.
Uh,
$31,000 essentially.
So
So Tammy, likewise, this was voted on, in Hampshire, or we were given documents saying what our contribution would be this year, and then they
We
actually increased
were.
that a little bit.
And then we do have the memo with the increase, which we don't know exactly what that's gonna be for April 9th for the retirees only. We are at 969, 354. We usually do take the one-time payment and save roughly about almost 16,000. So we usually take the one-time payment 1st of July. So right now we're at 953, 670.
Where, oh yeah, okay, I see that.
Which is usually what we do historically since I've been here. We've taken the first payment.
And the trust plans to add a little bit more to our contribution because still paying a COLA to their staff, right, Tammy. So that's
Correct. So I
So-
will,
small increase in that. We'll put it, we'll see. So, but we're planning for about a $50,000 increase over last year's of 922. So we'll probably end up somewhere in that 970, 980 range. And we'll have those final figures shortly.
Okay, not
Another
much
one
we can
can't
do about it.
control. Yep.
No, it's based on, actuarial
Yeah.
data of how long it's going to take, how much it's going to take to fully fund the pension obligations in the future.
Okay.
How the investments perform.
You want to go to tax title next?
sure.
Something else I can't find.
T.
Is that how I should be doing this? I have to know my alphabet, Dave?
Do.
I like this binder. It's hard to read the tabs, though. They're kind of sunk. underneath it.
Yeah.
Might just have fewer tabs next to it. Just more things under treasure.
This is
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
this is
We'll
beat up.
see. All work in progress.
I think I ever knew her.
No,
Tax title, Tammy, are you ready to talk about that
Yeah,
one?
So tax title, we just did take on a new tax title attorney. So going forward, our new tax title attorney only bills us for when they complete the project,
Mhm.
and we can assign them and have them put aside anything that we want, like if they want them to specifically work on a certain tax title taking, so that they can like accomplish that one and then maybe give them 2 or 3 more if they're smaller. They've actually evaluated the ones that we have, ones that they think that are worth taking, ones that they think aren't worth our while because of the money that'll go into it versus what that piece of land or property is worth. So that's something Andrew and I have to sit down and actually look at the properties and see what they actually value, see if we want to pursue the ones that we actually have that are really old. There were a few that we have already turned in from tax title this year. We've gotten a couple people out. I'm still working on another one to get that one out of tax title before it even goes to the new tax title attorney. So we're still waiting on that person's supposed to be selling land and keep their home. So we're working on that and we're still moving forward. Anybody outstanding for 24, I think there's really only about 5 more people I'm working toward to collect for FY 24.
Wow.
Anything other than that would have been older tax takings that would have rolled in. So we're still working diligently on those still.
Our budget has 2 different line items for tax title. We have a revolving account, which works out great because we have revenue that comes in when we close these processes, and we can pay directly from that. And then we also have a line right in the general fund as well, that pays for tax title should anything come sooner or just to supplement that revolving fund. So moving this new attorney is great because we'll have fewer expenses that come out before the revenue comes in. But we do have these 2 healthily funded lines because we want to be doing more on this year.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Okay. What else, Tammy? Tell us where to go here. Just to the treasurer line?
Sure. Treasurer's expenses.
Mhm.
I don't have really that many huge increases that I'm really looking for treasurer-wide. Smaller things of which I've made notations for, like MCTA prices. They're actually just increasing dues and fees for the school and stuff like that. And a couple lines were small things that I'm looking, because I'm hoping to attend like their conference and at the Cape Cod and at the conference for them. Anything else that really,
MCTA is Mass Collectors Treasurers Association,
yep.
just for people at
I
home.
mean, other than that, I don't have anything else on the treasurer's expenses that really have jumped.
Yeah, nothing on there.
Just a note, because it's easier for me to bring attention to it than Tammy, but Tammy will be in contract negotiations. So that's a line that will need to be determined as her salary.
Okay.
But all of those are, I mean, pretty much just driven by MCTA. Those are my only few small ups that I'm looking for.
Okay.
The rest of the staff lines should be subject to the same COLA than for
Right.
everyone else. There's no contracts in there.
Okay.
Yes.
You guys good with those two? How about unemployment?
Unemployment. Where is my unemployment? I have unemployment right in front of me.
Found it.
Unemployment, I believe we did look to go up on it a little bit. We've had a lot of unemployment, mostly through the school claims. Obviously nothing that we can control if they're leaving, or if the school is, getting rid of them and they're eligible for unemployment. We've just had a lot of turnover this year. But we
They're
have,
leaving though? They don't, if they leave, they don't get unemployment, right?
no, I mean, if they're let go.
You could.
Right.
They're polite waves.
Yep.
You could. If you
So I
left and
was
went to
looking
another
to.
job.
And then
If
lost the
you
other
Lost
job.
the other
Yeah.
job, then you could get unemployment.
Yeah.
But other than,
You can go back to the original town you worked with
And you
and
do, there's a certain.
Yeah, you go back so
Look back
many.
period of
Time
months,
frame, yeah.
and then you're prorated for the number of months, unless you want to take the person back. Which usually you can't do because you've already hired someone else.
right. Yeah, we filled that
Right.
position.
Now, Sean, the unemployment insurance, the $2.1 billion overdraft.
Yep.
Which is, may come back to employers. Would public employers be included in that?
Well, you're not paying.
We're
into
not
the
paying
trust.
in. That's
Yeah.
right. We don't pay in.
Yeah.
We just pay
That's why you have to-
claims.
Pay claims, yeah,
Yeah,
because you're not paying
okay.
into the trust.
Okay.
Kind of our own, right?
Right. Yeah, you're kind of self-insured.
Yeah.
Self-insured.
Okay.
We did put in, I think, a $5,000 increase for that unemployment line, but we do have also a unemployment trust with the town as well, which is helpful for making sure we can address these because they tend to be variable. You just don't know exactly what they'll be in a given year. So the trust, I think, wasn't necessarily used for a couple claims that came in this year. So we'll be making sure that that's being done moving forward. And I think that's a helpful thing to have. So if we can't do that $5,000 increase, we can probably absorb that.
That's it, right, for your lines? Well, I mean, I appreciate you holding
Thank you.
steady on the ones you can. There's nothing you can do about the other ones.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else, you guys. have
Thanks,
anything?
Thanks, Tammy.
Tammy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tammy, very much. Were there 3 tonight? No, because we already did accountant,
Yep.
sorry.
Doing treasurer.
And so now it is DPW. Come on up, Gary. So I know there's a bunch of tabs here for you.
There's a ton of
Um,
tabs. There's a ton of tabs.
So you want to start, can we go alphabetically? Like is cemetery? Yeah, cemetery is yours.
The only ones I have are the level funded ones.
Okay. Well, cemetery's level funded, so are we all good with that one?
Second page.
Sure.
Yeah, we're level funded.
Oh, we didn't do collector salary.
It would just be subject to the same
Okay.
COLA.
Was there a collector expense that we didn't do?
Level funded.
Or was that all the same under treasurer?
See how he has level
I don't see a
funded, and then
collector
if you look-
expense,
It
so,
should be the same under treasurer. Treasurer, I
Okay,
think,
it is.
captured
It
both
must be.
salaries,
okay,
I believe.
all right. Conservation. Council on Aging. These tabs are just hard to read, sorry. Retirement. Oh, what about debt? Oh, no, we didn't have that. Okay.
Well, debt, the finance committee talked to Tammy about that. Make sure her report comes to you too if you need it.
We got a
Facilities,
update on that.
will you speak to facilities or no?
And that facilities is called something else though, isn't it?
No, there's no facilities.
It's facilities, it's not public works is the other one that. Motor pool,
Are we just passing over cemetery or are we?
cemetery I have.
It's level funded, so
Well, it's 10,000 on this one.
Yeah.
There's
Huh?
two budgets,
I thought that it said 7,500.
7,500 and 10,000,
There's
26 budget request. Additional,
a second page.
page 2 on the.
Oh,
Level funded.
oh, yeah, okay, sorry, I looked at the first page.
Right, so Bill prepared two budgets. One was level funded, the other is level funded to meet operational needs. So that is higher than the level funded. So if you see two budgets here, the second budget that you'll see will generally be higher.
Oh, I see, so they're the same, they're, okay.
Some of them are
Each
not,
case-
some of them are the same
In
though.
some cases, they are the same. This one,
So
same.
The $20,000.
Phil had proposed a $2,500 increase for cemetery,
Mhm.
For Main Street and Brad Street. How is that different than the CPA money that the cemeteries are looking for? Do you know?
It looks like this is saying this is for the operating. the
Like just
operating
the
expenses of
mowing or
maintaining
whatever?
that new work.
Okay. It's not a project, it's just, okay.
Nope, that's CPA. That's
All mowing, right? Just
Yeah, and if you mower blades and.
Right.
Standard stuff to do it.
So going alphabetically, then the next one would be facilities maintenance.
Facilities. Street
I got
lights.
ahead of myself.
That one I don't think I have.
So this one,
Vehicle lease. Nope.
he still has the rental of the historic archives and so that's Diamondback, that can be pulled out, right?
Should be pulled out.
Yep.
Or it can at least be slashed in half or maybe even a quarter.
Well, but if we're ending April 1st with Diamondback, then
There should be very little
should
left.
be,
If there's anything, it would be for that other space that I mentioned. I still need to find out how much that's
Okay.
going to be.
But-
but it-
$18,000
maybe it'll be 100 a
for
month.
the rental
oh,
on
fine, okay,
historic.
so that's a big
Yes.
Yeah.
savings there.
Yep.
I just heard it. I wasn't here before.
So we shouldn't have to maintain 18.
Okay, you
If
said
we
there's
save
a-
$5,000, we're okay.
you said there's a small, another cheaper way to do one of the heavy pallets. Is that what you were talking
That's exactly correct.
about?
Yeah,
That can come into the building.
it would not come into the building because the weight would bring
The
some things
second
down.
floor would be in the first floor.
Yeah, that would be the concern. Yep. So I'll have numbers on that by the end of this week for that space. I don't think it's going to be very expensive at all. But if maybe we keep $6,000 there, just in case, we should be in good shape.
Okay.
So what is this increase for mini splits? Adding 10 mini splits?
In the building, which building? Is
Here.
it here?
Yeah, there's 10 total. And I know the ones downstairs run all the time, so there's definitely an increase.
New ones were put in
Price
for
of cost.
upstairs, right, for the second floor. Yeah. That's just the main, that's the
no,
maintenance on them for the,
four, because they went
Four
into the historical area.
And it looks
Oh.
like all this does is bring us to the level that we've actually been spending at for the last 2 years. 2 years ago, this line was $14,000. This year, we're on track for it to be around $14,000.
Which
So
line?
Where's 14?
town building,
I'm seeing 37,000.
We're talking about the
equipment
town
repairs,
building,
maintenance.
oh, the maintenance of the mini splits. We were talking about the electricity line.
electricity.
Got it. I apologize. I was looking at the maintenance one.
So we put in mini splits and we're spending $10,000 more?
Yeah, they're expensive. Super expensive.
Well, I mean, is there a maintenance contract or does a contractor provide you a copy of information on what the maintenance is required and et cetera, and what the,
Person to put them in.
is that where the price is coming from?
Well, no, this is the
It's
electricity to run
electricity
them.
to run it.
Run them all.
It's the power just to run them.
Right, but still
Drain them,
there,
it's not expensive. It's not, I mean, that's not a huge number. I think I think the electricity to run them all is a lot more. And I have a guy that comes up and does ours who's,
So what do we save on fuel or natural gas? Because we're not,
yeah,
are we saving anything?
probably not.
You don't think we'd be saving anything?
I mean, numbers, penny for penny, I don't know, is it like some giant number?
So why'd we do it? But-
Are the mini
Okay.
splits more for air conditioning than they are for
Yeah.
heat?
I would say.
Okay.
So-
So we really don't have any other air conditioning ability
Because we
here
have
other
the
than the mini
senior center,
splits,
you know.
correct?
Right.
Yes.
There's
So,
no, there's
I
no,
mean-
there's no air conditioning in
Okay.
the whole building for.
No, the
There's
building
just-
is.
There's just one electric meter for the building, plus there's a meter for the fire pump, right? So is this part of taking the total electric meter and splitting it into pieces? Know what I'm saying? I mean, you have mini split, I mean, if there's only one electric bill, you can't
Break it down?
say if it's mini splits or something else, right? So,
No. But
Should-
it
shouldn't
says
that
like on the
be-
box when you install them, what it costs.
right, but
So
I'm just
at an
saying,
average.
what I'm
number.
trying to say is, I don't know if I'm coming across what I want to try to say is,
Yeah.
you have one electric meter. How are we determining, just saying the building is going to cost this much for electricity? Or with this 14,000 here and is it split up throughout the building for the electric bill? That's what I don't understand if you only have one meter.
I don't know how he wrote it. I'm not positive on
Do we
that.
get one bill for the whole building, Tammy?
So Andrew, do you know what we've actually spent on that so far
Oh,
this
you-
year on the town electricity line?
But you don't even see it come through the
My
treasurer's office
numbers
to
as
pay it?
of December 31st
Yeah.
was 16,000, sorry,
Electricity.
11,000,
But
about 12,000.
is there one
So
for town hall?
43% through
There's gotta be
December
one
31st.
That does
So-
the
Now, a
electricity.
lot of
There's
the
one for
expenses
streetlights. There's a
warm
separate one for
So
that fire pump.
warm
is
this
out.
month.
I get that, but I guess I just mean for the building.
But we
that's all.
did
There might be
July,
two.
August. We
Might
did
Can't be
the-
more than
the
one.
hot
There might
months.
be
Right, we did the hottest months.
So,
building?
so
Okay.
what I'm just trying to figure out is, is the 37,000 a guess, or can we base it on what we think we're going to spend this year?
I think we can do the latter. Garrett, is this for new mini splits or just the mini splits we already have? We're not adding anything
Those are
new.
all new, the ones upstairs.
New, but as of when?
This summer. So you don't have any numbers on those.
We
yet.
wouldn't have paid for them this summer. So they came in after August.
Yeah, when the renovation, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this year,
Those are going to be the
We haven't
highest use.
seen the bill,
No.
the electric bill from those.
I mean,
Or very minimal electrical.
it
Yeah,
makes,
maybe a half
it makes
one.
pretty perfect sense. You're heating and cooling more space.
Oh, no, yeah.
So the electric bill's going
Not
up.
arguing
Like,
that.
I mean, that upstairs used to be
Yeah.
48 degrees, most of the time you had to huddle around the light.
Yeah, I
bulb.
mean, but I'm just curious about the
What I'm
number.
trying to say is if you only have one meter, are you saying, well, the mini splits are 14 grand, the lights in here are 10 grand, the computer outlets are 5 grand, or is there just one bill? Should that be just one line item somewhere under the building for electricity? That's what I'm trying to say.
Isn't that what this is? A line item for the building?
Well, it's saying
for-
it's 14,000 for electricity for the mini splits, but is that for
I
the whole
think
building?
that mini splits is just
Part of it.
It's noting the
telling you Why
increase.
there's a big increase because of all the.
Right.
So that's the bill, that should be the bill.
That's
for
the new thing in the building.
Annual,
Right,
that
Well,
should be
and
the annual electricity cost is what's right there for the building, right?
right.
Yeah.
That's explaining the increase. It's,
Right.
that increase is due to the new mini splits.
yeah, and for me, I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, this is what he requested. This isn't the level funded. If this is what it's going to be, we can't go with the level funded because we're going to spend the money,
Right.
right? I mean,
Although, don't forget, part of that, something that's in here, that the Diamondback stuff is coming out.
Right.
So
no, it'll
you
help.
might be
offset.
able to
Yeah.
hold that at a level funding because
Yeah.
you're getting rid of that expense.
What you're saying, when Diamondback's going to go to electricity now to run the mini splits.
Just to run the electricity for the whole building,
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
so if that's a cost for the whole building, then okay.
Yeah.
Okay, are we
Those
good on
don't
that?
have their own meters.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause I've seen two bills. I did see the bill for the fire pump because they insisted on putting a 480 volt fire pump in there.
sure.
So that's a separate service and that bill goes way up sometimes.
Yeah.
Because that pump runs. And then I saw the other bill for here. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that it's actually one bill. It's not just mini splits. It's just that it's increased because of the mini splits.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So I just one more question. Town hall building supplies, consumable supplies, including office supplies and paper. So Tammy, that stuff isn't built into individual budgets? That came out of the facilities budget, office supplies and paper? Do you have an office supply and paper budget? Okay. Is it just worded that way or?
I don't have one. I just buy it. Or come down here and take.
Yeah, I mean, would we really,
I don't use a lot.
I'm just curious about the wording.
I mean,
Maybe
like,
it's just,
if we buy paper for the copier in town hall, we don't portion out each ream of paper to an individual department, right? Like the billing.
We used to.
like like the copy paper isn't in there.
Yeah, that seems like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, that's all, it's fine. And so an increase of 2,000 due to market prices,
Like,
I mean,
Would it-
that's kind
would
of a
it-
guess.
Would it make sense at some point, maybe not for this year, but down the road, that maybe under the town administrator's budget, that all the expenses for cleaning supplies and paper and all that kind of stuff for everybody be under one line under the town administrator's budget for the town hall? Instead of the collector having one and the treasurer having one and the,
I think the,
facilities having one, I don't know.
the only thing that happens really, I think, it might make sense, but unless there's like specialized things
Exactly.
that you,
right.
like you need for some specific purpose, that only you use it for.
Right.
Like Elena may have specific things she has
Right.
to have supplies
Right.
for.
Like dog tags.
Right,
Like everybody's not using
Right.
those, you know,
Right.
but like copy paper.
Copy paper, cleaning supplies,
Yeah.
well, that's,
trash bags.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. you know.
yeah, that stuff. is-
Some of that
okay.
stuff may be in other people's budgets too, who, I don't know that for sure, because everybody's budget seems to have one of those lines for, cleaning supplies and, that kind of stuff, so.
It wouldn't make sense to try to streamline it.
Yeah.
Combine it.
So we're gonna, I mean, are we okay on this facilities line once we get some better information from pulling the Diamondback fees out of there and
The other thing I'm doing is just,
Just
I'm
a matter
using,
of finding the money, Diana.
I'm just using. the
That's your
info we
job,
have of what
Daryl.
We've actually spent. I think that the heating line can actually be lower based on spending in the last couple months. Those are the highest months, and we're not going to reach this 24,000 that's in here. So
so maybe
that
as
out.
we get closer, you can do better
be finagling.
projections.
yes,
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
great.
Okay, so highway.
It'll take me 10 minutes to find where that is.
Oh yeah, we gotta get, you guys have a deadline, right?
Who's got a deadline?
We have other people.
Oh, we have a deadline.
So in highway, the salary increases, those are contractual, correct? Because this says no COLA.
That's
And the other
correct. That would
salaries
go
are
to the-
contractual.
The salary increase in the bargaining unit.
The overtime line, I mean, hard to predict. This winter's prove that. Does that go into snow and ice, though?
Overtime.
It's overtime. Is there a snow and ice overtime line? It's separate.
I'm sure we're gonna be spending a
that's
lot of
separate.
money.
Right. And salary is separated out in that, okay.
Salary.
So do you know what, so the first page is a level.
$11,000, $12,000.
So 10 of that is just highway other supplies. Do you have any idea, Garrett, what that $10,000 increase was?
Other supplies, man. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I know we use this for different things. but I don't see all of it is the problem. I didn't see all of it because some of it was on the other side that I didn't do. And I know what we used.
Let me check what. we spent
Yeah,
on
if there's some,
other expenses.
Where the heck is other expense? Oh,
I mean,
highway.
$10,000 increase with no just
Reason.
increase in cost doesn't really. So if we could flush that one out, I would like that information.
Is that this one?
No, it's,
15 to
Turn the
30.
page.
spent.
yeah, no, you're on the right page.
That's what I thought.
It's
5530 highway other supplies.
right there, the little-
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, I'll have that detail for you.
Okay, thank you.
I can think about it too. I know there's stuff we used out of it.
Okay, is everybody good with the highway one?
Yeah,
There's
as
a-
long as we get definition of what that is.
Yep,
but
I'll
yeah.
get
Well,
that
there's
for you.
I
two,
think that's the only
two
difference.
other things that
Yeah.
need to go on. Either the highway budget has to be added onto a budget that came out of, used to just come out of my budget. And I think this is probably some of that 10,000. Like FERCog, the annual fee for FERCog is $3,500. I just used to pay it because it was never put in a line item. And
Is that in highway?
yeah, that's how I used to pay it. Yeah. So every year, the cost to sign up for the FERCog to do your bids is 30.
I thought that
Last
used to
year
be
was 32.50.
itemized out in here, but
I thought there was a separate line.
I
for
thought it
that.
used to be separated out.
That should be in other professional services. That's the correct line.
Yeah, where you put it, I don't think it's a,
I'll get that added.
Okay.
And what was
Anything
the
else,
other
Garrett?
item, Garrett?
another item
How-
is actually transfer because it's the amount was $2,200 or $2,100 for monitoring wells, gas and water at the transfer station. They have to come around. It's a state mandated thing that.
But
they want-
isn't there's a transfer line?
Right, it's not.
It's not in there.
Not
though.
in there, because I used to pay it, I used to just pay it regular out of the transfer station, but it probably should be a line item since every year you have to do it.
How much?
Right.
2022?
2,200,
Will that increase?
I would think, yeah, that would cover it.
About
And that might even
25,
cover
and
next
I'll add it
year,
to
kinda.
professional service.
It doesn't go up a huge amount, maybe $100 or
So
something.
you're saying 2,200 would cover
Yeah,
it?
that'll cover it.
22
That I trust you.
Those are the two things I had to add,
to add to highway.
one to highway, one to transfer, actually.
Great.
How come the overtime shift coverage, that was pretty substantial, that's $15,000?
For snow and ice, or
No,
is
No.
it labeled
No.
that or no?
no, it's
It's in the regular
5130.
highway.
It's in the regular, and it says, he put a line, it said, we spent 28,000 in 25, but
We're in 25.
we're not even
FY
done with.
24.
No, we're
FY
halfway.
'24 was 28,000.
Does it,
Through
oh,
December 31st, we were already at 15. So
In
that's
20,
that's
should be
underfunded.
in 25. right?
Or we need to spend
That
less.
should,
but it's not snow and ice.
No, that's regular highway overtime.
Storm damage.
Storms.
The things that don't happen in the winter.
Right, gotcha. I gotcha.
Wind, rain,
okay.
trees.
And we don't hear about it because for the whole line, we're going to end up, for all of the staff, we're going to end up in a comfortable place. I think we have at least one position that's not filled at the moment, but we are over for that line. So it probably should be increased to 30.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, are we good with that one? You want to move on here? What's next?
Would it be snow?
No, it's going to be motor
Bring
pool, I
assessors.
think.
Oh,
All the
sure.
assessors are waiting.
Oh, well, let's,
Mechanic,
time?
No, it's supposed to be there at 7.
We should probably just go to that.
You should leave anytime.
Sorry, we have a commitment to the, so they're waiting over there for us, so I just. wanna-
okay.
Um, Can you just ask one quick question? Do you think we're going to be okay with fuel?
Money in the fuel budget? For the-
Yeah, it's the same,
Just keep-
right?
Yes,
Level funded?
I think we're, yeah. That's usually, I mean, it's rack, it's a commodity, so your commodity numbers change.
Are
but
we, do
it's
we
not-
still
they're not
have a
killing it.
fixed
It's-
Fuel prices
contract?
haven't been that volatile.
We
No.
usually, that's what we do with FERCog is the
Well,
fuel.
we had one. I mean, but I don't know if but it wasn't all of it.
What's that?
The contract that we had for diesel fuel, we had for like a partial contract. We didn't,
No, I bid it, it goes to FERCog,
Yeah, it all goes through the FERCog, I
7,000
think.
gas, 7,000 diesel.
I thought it did.
yeah, but, right.
That's a fixed price, but not
Fixed price.
necessarily a fixed, are you talking about?
Yeah, at one point we had purchased
Free
in
to pay in
advance a
advance, yeah.
fixed amount of diesel fuel at a fixed price.
Yeah.
That's what we do every year.
Yeah. And then we do all of it that way.
7,000 gas, 7,000 thing, and 3,500 fuel oil. That goes between the sewer plant and the library.
And that usually covers it.
I actually talked to Kenny today and I said, you know, these bids got to be in by Friday, so let me know kind of what you want to. And I told him we're going to keep it at 35.
All right.
100
Okay.
gallons.
So we'll just continue going
Yep.
through with Garrett. Okay. Well, thanks for coming in. No, we understand.
We're gonna weigh it.
The
end
rest
up
of them are
way
good?
ahead on fuel.
The rest of
We're
them
fine for
You
fuel.
guys are gonna talk about, and then they'll let us know if there's something.
Good.
Bye, Daryl.
Yep.
Bye, Dave. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
I'll bring it to you. I'll come to your meeting.
Dave and I have meetings together 3 nights in a row.
Should be so lucky.
3 nights in a row. All right, Garrett, we'll just keep moving along through
Sure.
here. I mean, some of these, like, on
Townwide fuel, we're good.
what?
Townwide fuel, we might be able to
It-
bring that down because you're in great shape this year.
Yeah, we're.
But did we skip over mechanic? I mean, I thought we were going like
We
alphabetical.
could do it any way we want.
Okay.
Motor pool,
Sorry, I just got excited about fuel.
Yeah, this is the mechanic motor pool. So, I mean, he's asking there's a level funded, but then there's the $10,000 increase in parts. I mean, you know, they're not going down in price,
no,
but it's just, most of Phil's numbers were just so big and round, right? That sort of like not really.
yeah, and this year, we had a couple problems already this year.
Yeah.
That are unexpected.
Expensive. I get it.
13,000 for a new exhaust system on one of the trucks. It's kind of.
Yeah.
Not what we wanted.
Yeah, the budget has been spent this year already.
Yeah.
We're actually spending $4,000 on inspections.
Everybody.
Yeah.
That goes fire, that goes,
Oh, yeah,
Everybody.
police, everybody, okay.
it's $35 for a car.
Does anybody have questions about motor pool?
No.
Are we gonna just keep moving ahead here? Ed, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'm just going alphabetically here. These tabs are so hard to see. Sorry. Sewer. Well, are you able to speak to that?
What do you need to know? I'll give it my own.
It's between Garrett and we should be in good shape.
So this has the 2.6% pay increases. Is that a COLA or are those? So I thought we had no COLA budgets and then,
It shouldn't have included. COLA.
yeah, so is that a COLA? That's what that,
That would be
like,
COLA, so that'll be subject to the same
okay,
increase that everyone else gets.
whatever that may be.
Yep.
And then,
I don't know of there's no contract that would say that they need to.
and new vehicle lease, wouldn't that be in the lease line, not in the sewer line?
So on this thing, on the new vehicle lease, he has a thing in here that I can't read.
We did talk about this with the capital planning last night because we did want to work the lease payments into the operating budget. So that's why this line is here. So
Yeah.
water and wastewater, we're looking for those new vehicles, I believe.
Oh.
That's why it would be in here.
Special, yeah.
What do you have?
It's that same thing. There's a note just on the bottom clarifying why this is.
Why would we do that?
It's good financial practice to try to move vehicle payments, which you know are going to be pretty constant, out of just your capital sources and put them into the operating budget, because you know you can count on having to make them each year. So it's not a bad.
But I mean,
thing
they're
to
like
do.
5-year leases, right?
Mhm.
And then the vehicles, we're keeping our vehicles longer than 5 years. So then is there going to be an expectation that that money is going to stay in the budget when the vehicle payments are gone?
I think if there would be no payment, you would remove it. But
Okay,
If it
as
wasn't
long as we
needed.
do.
you'd have to. It's funny with water and wastewater, just because they're small departments. Typically, when you do this, you can always replace it with other lease payments. But here, you probably would reach a point where you don't have any payments to make, since it's a small department, right?
Yeah,
You would
I
think.
would think. Yes.
So as I look down through the sewer, I mean, even the increases are fairly small,
Except for the bottom one.
except for the bottom one. And that's where I was gonna,
I was trying to remember a town meeting we had, was that part of?
so what they're, just so people at home know, there's a new item in the sewer budget, USDA grant short-lived asset reserve. This requirement put in place by USDA as a stipulation to receive the upgrade grant for the wastewater treatment plant project. That wasn't all part of like this has to be a separate line?
It must be in the loan paperwork somewhere. So I'll have to get more info for you on that. I
That
can
would be
check and
great.
Make sure that we have that together. Unless Tammy remembers this better than I. Nope. Sorry, Tammy. No.
No, it's $66,667.
Yeah,
And it says that we have a requirement to put it in place by USDA as a stipulation to receiving the upgrade grant for the wastewater treatment plant project.
I will get that language from the paperwork and provide that for you. No problem.
We can reach out to Justin or whatever.
Library folks, you're going to be with the finance committee.
Yeah,
I assume they've gone upstairs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
not that we aren't happy to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
That's great. Thanks for checking us out. Library.
Okay, yeah, if we could just get a little information on that, because
Yeah. Yeah, that's easy.
that's a big number. Snow and ice. I mean, it is what it is, right?
What are you gonna do? I mean, I have a couple opinions on it, but the number's too low. Does it matter though? It's too low as long as, it seems like that's what people get hung up on.
Right.
Wasn't it double that last year?
Well, yeah, because it was $42,000.
Yeah.
It's like 10 loads of salt. If you called it 142,000, would they be upset?
Right.
I don't, that's what it costs to do it.
Yeah.
Every slip, everything you did on snow and ice is in a folder in my office, everything. If it had to do with snow and ice, I have a copy of a receipt.
Yeah, well,
It's
I mean, there were questions about it at town meeting, so we should at least be prepared.
Salt,
this year.
$67 a ton.
Yeah, I know, and hard to come by. All right, so anybody have questions on the snow and ice? I mean, it's not
We don't know
really
what it is
to ask,
until it's-
I know.
Right.
Till the end of the year.
Right.
so.
Street lighting looks like it's good,
Same.
level.
Level.
What else you got here?
You might be able to bring that street lighting number down. It's based on usage.
Townwide fuel. Gonna be able to hold that pretty steady.
That's comfortable.
We're going to finish way below there this year, I think.
Okay,
So we might be able to bring that down a little bit too.
okay.
Little haircut.
Transfer station. So again, that's got no COLA. How can it say no COLA when there's a $10,000 increase? in the salary lines.
For which one?
Transfer station.
Is that new employees, Garrett?
There's 2 employees over there.
Is it new? Nobody's
be.
new. They've
Oh,
had the same.
No, it shouldn't be new employees.
So I don't know why he's asking for, he put in for 10,000 more.
I think it's saying that this is what was spent the year before, so it must not have been.
Yeah, enough.
Um,
That number ran. The salary line item. For
I mean,
some-
that's weird.
and-
It's pretty constant up there, like
It's the
the,
same thing all the time, and that's why I
it's the
didn't
same
understand
all the time. I mean,
why it ran
there's
out.
increases, there's wage increases, but nothing that significant. So I'm curious why that number would go up like that.
It was never budgeted the right number.
It just was, okay, well.
It looks
let's-
like we spent 28,000 in FY '24. We're on track to spend 27,000 this year. Unless we want to make a change to how often that staffs, right? Is that
It's
Can we do
staffed
that? No.
Saturdays, 7 AM to 3 PM on Saturdays, and then noon to 5 on.
and those folks would receive the same COLA as anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
we
there's,
really,
I mean, there's 2 of them and there has to be really, I think.
I think that's
yeah.
They're comfortable.
Yeah.
I ask them all the time if they need, what they need
Right.
and what they don't. They're, oh, we're good. So,
Yeah, but I don't think you can cut anybody there.
no, you need.
No,
people.
you need them there.
so it's going to look like a $10,000 increase on the budget, but it's really level funded if you look at what we spent.
And so I'm surprised hauling fees are not, no anticipated,
That's a commodity too. Those
I
adjust,
know.
but I've never seen like crazy increases that.
well, there has been increases over the years,
Yeah.
right, Ed? We've
Yeah.
talked about the fees going up so much that was it even worth it?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had that conversation for a few years, but. Okay, everybody good with the transfer station line?
I would say it looks like we might finish below that hauling fee amount this year. So 33 might be higher than we need, but
Okay,
not by much.
I think there might have been 2 extra days till we worked. I had them staffed like the day after Christmas. We did an extra day.
yeah,
That's great.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one other
that's still
one.
not going to amount to, well, you're saying we were
No.
just underfunded, okay.
Number.
It was the wrong budget line.
Tree warden,
Yeah. You got a big problem with trees in town.
Oh, the
oh,
act-
I know, I have a couple of them, and the ash trees are bad. I don't have ash
Everywhere
trees,
bad.
but,
People call all the time. I mean, God bless the tree warden. Because every day there's phone calls. Every single day, Jenny mostly answers most of them, but people stop by the shop all the time. They got a dead tree. Dead ash trees, they're dead everywhere up the East Coast. There's none alive anymore. Even the ones with the green leaves on them are still dead. So,
So many town-owned ash trees are no good.
boy, I had Matt from the sewer department go out and count them. I didn't see the number, but there's got to be 75.
wow,
75. And what,
3,000 a piece to take down.
3,000 a piece? to
If
take
they're
down.
in power lines, if they're not in power lines, I mean, I'm about it. If we got a slow day, let's go, out and see how many we can take down, but
Or maybe they just, so many.
if they're in the power lines, the
I'm-
power company's not doing anything about them? Because I mean, we've had years where Eversource has come through.
and they do, and if they're in the line, a scope that they're gonna do, like they did all that work on Pantry Road and stuff, if they're there, absolutely, they take them down, but are you gonna call them and have them come and remove ash tree because it's in the?
Well, if they're at the power line, it's the Eversource's responsibility. That's my
Oh, yeah,
understanding, right?
You're never gonna happen, but yeah,
So,
You
I
could
mean,
call 'em.
so again, out of the 75, are those all town-owned or some of
of
them?
town-owned ones, there's probably 150 of regular ones in people's yards and everywhere. But I think he went through and counted them. Matt from the sewer department went through and counted every one that was on town easement. There's quite a few.
Well, 10,000's not going to cover it.
It's that no way, but it'll get a jump on it. It'll get you through some of it.
Maybe
don't think
some
you have to cut-
long-range planning, like so many every year, possibly.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, that's reasonable, right? I think it is. We have that much money, it costs this much per tree, 3,000 a tree, we're gonna cut down 15 a year, or 10 a year,
Those expenses are in the spring typically. So
all
we do it.
year. You do them, cut them anytime.
I'm just saying because we haven't spent much of that budget so far this year, but I would I would anticipate most of it takes place in spring.
As far as the tree budget wise, the whole budget.
Tree warden and other expenses, we
So
spent
the brush
$5,000
pile is
this year.
10,000 right off the bat.
What?
Brush pile. It's 10,000
When's that typically?
when it's full.
Hmm?
When it's full.
Got
it. There's a certain spot that I have an agreement. We go to this telephone pole in the yard,
Mhm.
and when it's there, a little before I call them, it's the same.
It gets massive.
It's huge.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
What's going on with the loader?
I'm not sure yet. It's instead of having the minor stuff done like fuel lines and that drain the fuel out of it, I'm not paying somebody to do that. We put it in the garage today. All the lines are taken out. The fuel is all going to be drained. Check all the lines before we go any further. Fill it back up, pressurize the system, and put it and see if we can get it to run. If it runs, then that's the problem. Then we fix it ourselves. Schmidt was over there for a day and a half. Nothing. The guy says, we don't have it. So I'm not going to send it down there to have them pull fuel lines off. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
It's unfortunate now because we really need it, but he's working on it now. That was his plan, and I agree with it. Have him do as much as we can do in-house, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully that's just the fuel problem.
And then the water one, would you prefer we talk to Tony about that?
I talked with Tony in advance.
you
so I'm
did?
happy
Okay.
to walk through
Okay.
his budget if that's helpful. He couldn't make it tonight, but we talked in advance for this one.
Okay. So the heating gas, that's to what? Heat the water plant?
Yes. Historic expenses there. I think we can bring that down to around 20,000 because we've never spent more than 10. We're not on track to spend too much this year.
But he's got 24.6 in
I
there.
think it can be brought down.
Yeah, he increased it from 18.6.
Mhm.
I wonder why.
That number,
Okay.
I think it makes sense to think that everything's getting expensive for heating, but so putting a 5% increase on the year before makes sense, but when you look at the historic spending, we're probably gonna be okay.
So some of these, it's confusing to me because like this, so the building systems line,
Mhm.
it went up from 10,000 to 8,000. It says spent 16,000 in FY '25. Does he mean 24?
15,000 FY24, yes.
Because we're in FY '25.
That would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Should have been saying.
It should have been saying
FY
20. So that's sort of through all of these budgets, he refers to FY '25. Okay,
Mhm.
not Tony. Okay.
Yeah, I don't, the budget was brought down. Well, it was brought up because that was how they were planning it. We went from 3,000 to 10,000, but the amount spent in FY24 was 15,000, and we're on track this year to be above that again. So 18,000 is conservative there.
Okay.
Water building systems.
I mean,
I've got this water distribution system maintenance. I'm going to need to take a look at all these budget lines because there's some serious discrepancies with how much we're actually paying and how much they budget for. It's happening
Okay.
again this year too.
and in some cases, it might be that expenses roll in the second half of the year or whatever, but it does.
Easily could be, but I think we're way above
Okay.
on a couple of these. That's what's the problem.
Okay.
I'll talk to Tony about
That would be great.
where we need to be. Some of these need to be higher.
Okay.
Need
And
to-
that's
need
the
to
last
accurate
one.
budget.
What's the public works one? 423, 423, 421.
In the water budget?
No, public works.
Oh,
For fix is 421.
Public Works, professional services,
Flat.
admin supplies, yeah.
Public works supplies, business travel expenses, mailing, administrative telecommunications.
Yeah, that looks like a general expenditure line for the DPW. It's not very high. Not a lot of spending here. But that's where like office supplies and things would come from.
Good.
It looks like it was basically level funded.
Level funded, $3,700.
What is this cost of phone, fax, internet? Is that just, what is that? Vadar, I mean, do you charge Vadar things out to departments? Okay.
Just to the people that use their certain modules.
What was that? Okay. Did you have questions about that one?
No, I'm good.
Public Works?
Yep.
You?
No.
Ed?
So, if
So
you're-
there's a
if
lot
you're
more information
comfortable-
needed
Yeah,
on-
if you're
yeah.
comfortable with me kind of going through these a little deeper in a
Yeah.
couple areas and.
I
coming
mean, I
back with
I
a
would work
amended
with
budget.
Garrett or Tony or whoever, and
And Garrett and I have checked in. It's just, the deeper you get with each of these, and people here ask good questions, so we'll circle back and get more details. But
Okay.
we're not horribly far off on at least big line items. I think.
yeah, I don't think so.
Cool.
Thanks, Garrett.
You're welcome.
Garrett, can you make sure we don't get any more storms? That'd be
Yes,
great.
I already
Thanks.
put that request is in.
Great, great. That would be perfect.
Now we're just gonna slide.
I don't
through
want to look
here.
at our snow and ice budget.
Yeah.
It is kind
The
of
first, few were, light and, I don't know,
good.
but
Like 5 feet of snow is great. It's almost free to do. Time, that's it.
The problem is Garrett went to Florida, which just
That's it.
hoarded
Ruined everything.
yep, you did.
that storm.
I was on
You-
full report. don't worry.
Did you? Yeah, I was thinking you missed that storm. Yeah. That was crazy. I mean, it like sleeted and was ice, all day. It was-
Yeah, it's terrible. Blocking phone calls.
I
just
mean,
need to
I-
vent.
That was bad.
Go ahead, bring it on. I'm ready.
I think they're saying snow Saturday, but,
Just a little flurry. It's gonna be tough. The road's, 50 degrees for 3 days.
and they're saying next week.
It's gonna cool down a little, but not on, it's February.
Tammy's shaking her head. I hope you're right. I have a big event next week.
Mine
so-
that's off.
This doesn't last long now.
No, it'll warm up.
6 feet.
You can feel the sun warming up.
Yeah. so-
All right.
Nice.
Do you have anything else? Andrew?
No?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Garrett.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yes, good job. That's it. That's our agenda. So
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second?
motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.